Hello, Andrew Bell, AbleSim here, and a short video clip coming up on the flow through a Masters Dissertation. The Masters Dissertation is a single document. It's not a collection of separate, disparate chapters, the literature review, the research methodology, the case studies, the questionnaire, the interviews. It is a single document that must flow. Unfortunately, I had a student recently who had all the correct content in the literature review, all the correct content about the case study, but there was no flow through the dissertation. There were recommendations that seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere, and unfortunately the dissertation was a fail. So I need you to consider your dissertation as a single document, and hopefully there's some tips coming up about how you can make it glue together. First of all, I set up a video about the overall contents of the dissertation. So that's a separate video about what needs to be included. And thinking of the overall contents can help you signpost how you're flowing through this dissertation. Your dissertation is some sort of argument about how you're going to solve a problem that you've posed or found out, or a research question that you've set yourself. And your dissertation is going to flow through this. You've found this problem, it's posed, you've examined it in the literature review, you've examined it by interviewing or questionnaires or case studies, and you're answering this problem or this question now in the critical evaluation and the discussion chapters, and you're providing recommendations about what to do next. So there's the argument, the flow through the dissertation. I've already said that the dissertation needs to have three elements: demonstration of knowledge, demonstration of application of knowledge, and a demonstration of critical evaluation. So it's our task now to stitch these together, to show a linking, to show a thread, a flow, a logical argument progressing through the background to the problem, through the literature review, the analysis of the data we've collected, and the discussion. One thing you can do here is you can make sure that every chapter has an introduction and a conclusion paragraph. So whenever you start a new chapter, and I like to see each chapter on a new page, whenever you start to see that new chapter, you're saying, in this chapter, we are going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4 points, wherever it might be. You're introducing the reader to what's coming up. And then in the conclusion, you'll say, so in summary, in this chapter, we have looked at 1, 2, 3, 4, and now in the next chapter, we're going to examine the next thing. So the introduction and conclusion paragraphs should be there for every chapter, starting to link this together. Now, if you've asked a question in a questionnaire or an interview, then why has that question been raised? This question has been raised for some reason. It's come out of the literature review that this is something unknown or something that needs to be established. So this gives you a way of linking together the literature review with the questionnaire. And if you're going to make a recommendation based on your discussion, you're making it based, you need to give the reason about why this recommendation has been made. One of the things that can often happen at a presentation or a viva, if it's required, is the assessor will say, you've made a recommendation here, where does that come from? Can you show me where you have established that that is a valid recommendation? Think back to the overall title of your dissertation. Look at the keywords in the title. What's the reader going to expect to find in your dissertation just by looking at the title? Have you covered it? Is there an absolute similarity between the title and the contents of your dissertation? Hopefully you haven't done lots of literature review on keywords that aren't really there in the title. Otherwise people will start to get confused about what the dissertation is really about. I've done a separate video on the abstract section. And the abstract should show this logical thread. The abstract is, what have you done? Why have you done it? How did you do it? What were your findings? And a conclusion. And this is on one page or in 300 words. This is your dissertation in short. And so we need to look at that through the whole dissertation. What have you done? Why have you done it? What have you found out? What are your findings? And how have you done it? What have you found out? And the conclusions. I've also done a separate video on the conclusion chapter. And one of the important points there was to repeat the objectives. Now, the objectives are offered in chapter 1. The conclusion is very often chapter 6 or chapter 7. So you're drawing this thread through the opening of the problem to the concluding and the recommendations at the end. So your master's dissertation is a single document. So think of it as a single document. Reflect back to the title and the abstract. This is one of the reasons why I suggest you could write the abstract earlier rather than at the end, because it helps you think of this flow. Introduce and conclude each chapter. Link the chapters together by having an introduction and a conclusion section. And repeat the objectives at the end to draw your arguments to a conclusion. So there you are, some tips about how you can make your dissertation flow. I do hope you found them useful. Thank you.